I'm Jordan Shafer, licensed professional counselor, certified in EMDR and also an EMDRIA approved consultant in EMDR. Just want to share some ideas on how to use EMDR with couples. You know, this is such a powerful tool that any chance we can use it to help people, I think we should. And so here's some ideas on how to use it with couples. You know, the reason you do EMDR with couples is what you want to do is you want to help lower the negative emotional charge that's stored in their midbrain. You know, I use this model. This is like the brain here. Remember, it comes from Dan Siegel. This is the brainstem, briefly. This is the midbrain, and this is the cerebral cortex. So if in the midbrain there are a lot of emotionally charged memories, and that would be in the form of a picture, like the picture or image that's stored in the brain, the emotions that were stored at the time of that event, the body sensations, and then the negative cognition. So if the brain or the midbrain has a lot of that in there, then that makes it more easily activated. And if you have two of them, right, then both of them are more easily activated. And that can happen during conflict, you know, obviously, right? One person accuses the other, and then they go back and forth, and what's happening is their midbrains are really activated. But it can also happen when people get closer. You know, the idea of the dance, when people get close and then they move apart, get closer and move apart. Well, the idea is that when they get too close, they can't tolerate the anxiety. Well, if you're able to do EMDR and lower some of the emotional memories stored in the midbrain, then when they get closer, they're more able to tolerate the anxiety, you know, tension of being close to another person. So it really helps in that way. You know, one thing we want to be clear on is we don't want to do EMDR with both members of the couple in the room. We might definitely talk about history, find out about early life events. You can do that together with the couple. But when you decide to, well, let's do some EMDR processing on that, then probably what you do would be to schedule it for another meeting, right? It kind of takes a session anyway, or two, but you schedule a different meeting. The reason you don't want both people there doing the processing, a couple of reasons. One is you don't know what's going to come out. You know, you're working with somebody who has a lifetime of events, and so you don't know what's going to come out next. They don't either. And also you don't know the partner's ability to tolerate the anxiety of whatever does come out. It may be a big thing or a little thing, but you just don't know if they can tolerate it. One of the problems with the couple probably is they can't tolerate each other's anxiety. So better just to not have the other person in the room. So when we look at life events, what we really look at are any childhood events. And we talk about trauma, big T, little t, and then I look at what I call emotionally charged events. So not quite at the same level, but they got enough charge in them that it changed the way the brain stored the information. You know, so those are just uncomfortable things. When people talk about it, they can kind of feel it. You can do EMDR on that. So you get life history of both people on childhood events or early life events. And then you could pick targets out of that to work on. If you have one person who has a lot of trauma and one who doesn't have so much, right, then you still want to try to balance it out. You want to help this person with the trauma, maybe take time to clear that up as best you can. But also pick some, with this other partner, traumas they can work on, you know, whatever. It may not be as big, it may be the SUDS is only like a 2 or 3 even. But still you want to do some processing with that. That might help them open up to realize that they probably did have more trauma or more life experiences that were emotionally charged. And also it keeps the work balanced. You know, you really don't want a situation with a couple where one person, if we just get this one person fixed, then the couple's going to be fine. They're both bringing something to the party, and you want to help lower the anxiety in the whole system. You know, other things you can do are events that happen in the relationship. And definitely you can talk about these, but events that have happened since they got together would be things like the first time they got in an argument, or the biggest argument, or when the other person found out, or when they found out about the other person was doing something that didn't fit in what seemed like would be a good marriage, having cheating maybe, but even other things that are cause discomfort in the relationship. You could do some EMDR on those. And as you're doing the marriage counseling, you can also targets may appear, and a good one is the most recent argument, right? If they come in and say, well, we had a big argument the other night, well, that'd be a good place to and talk with them about it in session together. You can talk about, well, what was the worst part for you? How about for you? What did that make you believe about yourself? What did that make you believe about yourself? You can do it like that. But then do the actual processing at a different time, right? But in those kind of experiences, when a couple argues, you can also do a float back, because one thing we say is that the argument is never about what it's about. Well, how do you find out what it's about? Well, how about doing some EMDR on the current argument, do a float back, let it take you to whatever's really going on underneath the surface, being activated in the midbrain. You want to clear that out. So that's it, just a few ideas on using EMDR. You're welcome now to make comments or ask questions on the blog. If you have other ideas or add to it, or there's something here that doesn't seem quite right, let's definitely open a conversation about that. And also you can contact me directly on my website. I'm Jordan Shafer, a licensed professional counselor, and Compassion Works.